Hello everybody, this is Tek and welcome to TekTalk. So, a while back I ranked all the books I read in 2022 and as you can see over here, we're gonna be doing the same with all the movies I watched in 2022. So, yeah, because I like ranking things and I guess maybe I'm going to do this yearly. I mean it's extra content, so whatever. So as you can see, I watched a lot of movies. There's also some documentaries in here, which I am also counting and as just movies I watched. So yeah, here we go. There's 104 in total, not counting double watches. So yeah, let's start. So I'm first going to see if I can pick up some of my favorites. Lord of the Rings, Return of the King. Do we even need to say it? It's my favorite of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I love all three pretty much equally, but if I had to pick a favorite, it would be Return of the King. For various reasons, it's just the most epic in my opinion. Just an amazing conclusion, and I know that there's a few people who have a few flaws with it, but to me it's pretty much the perfect Lord of the Rings movie, though I think they're pretty much all perfect, so yeah. Then we have over here, Legend of the Guardians, The Isles of Gahul. Another one of my favorite movies. I know that people have problems with it, apparently. Visually, this movie is still amazing. It came out in 2010, I believe, but it has barely aged. The designs are amazing. These owls are still realistic, but also stylish enough so they don't have, save face syndrome and stuff. So visually it's very amazing, but to me it's also pretty much checking all of the boxes of what I like in the movie. It's a xenofiction, it has fantasy elements, it has an amazing journey, it has epic battles, it's kind of dark for a kids movie or like a family film, so yeah, this is one of my absolute favorites, huge inspiration for me, so yeah. Then I'm going to see if I can pick another one of my favorites. Two Towers, another Lord of the Rings movie. Out of all the Lord of the Rings movies, like I said before, they're pretty much all are my favorite movies. But if I had to pick one that is my least favorite out of the three, it's probably the Two Towers. But again, it's like the least good of the best, so I still love it. Okay. Then there should be Fellowship of the Ring somewhere in here, over here. So Lord of the Rings is going to be a prize tier for me. It's Lord of the Rings. I mean, do I even need to explain myself? You know me, right? Then I'm going to see if I can find another favorite. Okay, so yeah, you can laugh at me for this, but I don't care. Wolf Quest goes in the S tier. It's objectively, it's probably one of the weaker movies on here, but I don't care. I like it too much. It's too dear to my heart to not rank it as S tier. So yeah, this movie is my hyperfixation and has been for a long time. So yeah, it's maybe I should be a little bit more fair to Guardians of the Galaxy, because objectively Guardians is a better movie, but it's still S tier. Wolf Quest absolutely gets the S tier, no question about it. Then I can see another one that's my favorite is Kung Fu Panda 2, and yeah, I'm also gonna put it in front of Wolf Quest because it's just objectively better. Wolf Quest, if I had to pick a favorite out of all these movies, it would probably either be one of the Lord of the Rings movies or Guardians or Wolf Quest, but I'm going to also be kind of ranking them objectively. But you know, if you really love something, you really love something. Another favorite, Guardians. No, this isn't Guardians, this is the Golden Compass, and I know people have a lot of problems with it. I'm gonna put it behind Wolf Quest. I know people have a lot of problems with it because it's, as an adaptation, it's not very good. It's way too lighthearted and stuff. Cut out some important stuff from the book, but this is one of the first movies that actually got me into the whole fantasy genre, so I will always appreciate it for that. And I still think that even though it's not a great adaptation, I still think it's a really good movie in and of itself, or at least I really like it. Definitely has its flaws, but for me it's definitely one of my favorites. Okay, so I ranked some of my favorites, so from now on I'm going to try to kind of go in order. So first we have Auf der Spur der Kusterwolfe. This is a documentary, and I am going to check where I ranked it. because I have Letterboxd open in another tab to cross-reference because I don't remember all my ratings. This is one I ranked 3.5 stars, so I feel that B is a proper place to put it. Not quite as good. The American title of this is Tracking Canada's Coastal Wolves, but it's a German documentary, so I put the German version. Then we instantly get a D tier, Ice Age Adventures of Buckwild. Yeah, sorry, it's just really bad. It looks terrible. Main characters are like horribly written. Like they made the comic reliefs the main characters, and that's just something you're not really supposed to do. I can't really think of any times that it like actually worked. So yeah, this was a very, very weak movie, and it also just looks terrible. It looks like it came out in like the early 2000s, like the original Ice Age, which hasn't aged perfectly when it comes to visuals. That legit looks better than this movie, which came out in 2022. So that's sad. Then we have Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Probably I'm gonna rank it in the C tier, upper C tier. I like it, but it does feel like two completely different movies. Like the first half is like we gotta save the dinosaurs from the island, and the second half is just a completely different movie with the dinosaurs on the mansion and stuff, and it feels very disjointed. Then we get an A tier, Never Ending Story. Amazing movie, great practical effects, really whimsical, fantastical story. It did give me a lot of nightmares as a kid. Like this movie is like my, Dark Crystal when it comes to like scaring me as a kid. But it's a really good movie. Then we have Wolf Walk, which I am going to rank as upper B tier. This is a French documentary. I don't think it has an English release yet. This is the German title, which is in English, but it's a German version. And this is a documentary about a Frenchman who tracks a young dispersal wolf, and basically we get to follow what exactly the wolf is up to. And it's a good documentary. It's also a little more responsible than Auf der Spur der Kusterwölfe when it comes to the wildlife interactions. So it's up Peter. Then we have Tangled, which lower A or upper B. I'm gonna say lower A. Not like in my top 10 Disney movies, but it's definitely one I come back to a lot. I like it a lot. I don't like the series. That's the spin-off series based on it. I don't like a lot. I know a lot of people love that series, but I don't. But the movie I really like. Then we have Duma, which is Peter. It's a story about a boy and his cheetah to get the cheetah back to the wild, and it's a pretty good movie. I liked it. Not my favorite, but and of course the boy and the wildlife interactions with all the cheetahs not as great since they're like actual animals and stuff interacting with the boy, but at the same time this was also in the early 2000s, and nowadays we mostly use CGI for stuff like that, but back then it was a little bit more acceptable to just use real animals. Then in a similar vein, Born Free, which gets the C tier. Also a story about rewilding an African feline but this one is about Elsa the lioness, which is actually based on a true story as far as I know. I'm not sure if Duma is based on a true story, maybe? But Born Free definitely is. There was like a book written, and the movie is based on the book, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, this movie is fictionalized, it's not like a documentary or anything. And it's a fine movie, not my favorite. I'm probably gonna rank it behind Jurassic World 2. It's kind of twisting the truth in some ways. Not perfect, but I like it. I liked it okay. Then lower C tier is going to be... I'm not sure. I think about above Born Free. We get Snuff the Dog and the Ijsvogel. This is a Dutch movie from the Snuff franchise. Snuff is like a Dutch dog from a Dutch book series, and they made a few movies. This is one of the second half of the series. I will come back to that later because they make some really weird decisions in the second half. Then this is probably the best one out of all of them. Snuff the Hond Part 1. So it's gonna be lower B. Mid B, I'd say. This is the first Snuff movie, Snuff the Dog in Wartime, and it's basically about the dog and his boy, and they live in World War II in the Netherlands, and they kind of just have to find a way to survive. This is probably the best out of the entire franchise. It's not a great franchise or anything, but this one is probably objectively the best, and also like it has the highest stakes, obviously, because later down the line the stakes become kind of very low, obviously. The bad guys, A tier. Yeah, I don't have much to say about it. I really like it. It looks visually really great. I don't like the villain as much, but yeah, I had a good time with this one. Christian the Lion at World's End. This is a documentary in a similar vein as Born Free, except this is like actually a documentary and not fictionalized. This is about Christian the Lion, which was a real lion, which was held as a pet, which they tried to rewild. This documentary is made by George Adamson, who actually also appears, like a fictionalized version of him appears in Born Free. So basically this documentary kind of cuts off before like Christian's fate, because in real life like we don't know what happened to Christian. At one point he left the reserve, but we don't know what happened after that. So maybe he survived, maybe he died soon, we don't know. But this documentary obviously doesn't touch on that, because it's just kind of ends before Christian leaves. So yeah, that's something. It's also not a great documentary, but I thought it was okay, so lower B. Cheetah Fatal Instinct. Yeah, documentary about cheetahs. Quite liked it. Not much to say. Snuff the Hond and the Vliegende Volkert, or the Flying Phantom, I believe the English release is called. Gonna go with mid C. This is the second movie in the Snuff franchise. And something you gotta note, I will come back to it later, but the first two Snuff movies take place in the 1940s, just after, like during and just after the World War II. And then they make some really wild decisions regarding the third and fourth movie. So yeah, I will do The Hobbit right now. This is The Hobbit's first movie. I know that people have very mixed opinions on The Hobbit, but I quite like these movies. They're not my favorites, so I'm gonna put them in the upper B. And I like the first and second Hobbit movies quite a bit, and then the last one I don't like as much, but oh well. They obviously can't compare to Lord of the Rings, but I still think they're good movies in their own right, or at least decent. The last one is just not as great. 5 Days of Danger. Lion documentary, and I think I like this one better than the cheetah one. Okay, so here we go. Snuff the Dog and the Haunted Castle, and this one is going to go in the lower C. So what did they do? This is the third movie, and after that came the fourth movie, which is the Icevogel. So what did they do? Basically, they halfway into the franchise, like this is still part of the main Snuff series, they just kind of did like a soft reboot, and the characters are now all the same, but they are played by completely different actors, and they also completely changed the time and setting to being in the Netherlands in modern times, which they could do if they did like a reboot, but this is still a part of the same series. So you have movie 1, movie 2, which take place in like the 1940s, and then movie 3, movie 4, which out of nowhere with completely different actors take place in modern times. So it's just very disjointed and it doesn't make any sense, and they are directed by the same person as far as I know, so I don't know what made them change it, and I personally would have just done like a complete reboot of the series if they wanted to go this way, because right now they just completely halfway into the series changed the time and setting and actors, which is just really wild. And the movies also got quite bad after that. Spookslot is definitely the worst one. Icevogel was a little better, but the movies just, they really went downhill after this point. So yeah, it's a weird kind of worms, the Snuff movies. Peter Rabbit, I like this one quite a bit, but it's not my favorite. C tier. Ernest and Celestine, this one visually is very nice. It's also a very cute story. However, I felt that some of the just pacing and like the plot was just a bit too forced and fast sometimes. So that's really where I would improve it. Otherwise, it's a really cute movie. It looks beautiful. It's basically like an animated 2D picture book. So if you like interesting visually animation, I definitely recommend this one. I just had some problems with like how the plot was handled and how forced things felt. Extinct. This it looks like a very goofy kids movie, and it also is, but this one also generally was kind of funny sometimes, and I don't know, like, I didn't expect to actually like this one going in. I just watched it because it has a violence scene in it, but it's like, legitimately, it's kind of a fun movie. So yeah, I'm gonna put it in a B tier. I didn't expect it, but it has some really dry humor, so yeah, it was actually kind of fun. Rolf Breaks the Internet. Yeah, a lot of people don't like this movie, me included. It even breaks the rules of the first movie, set up by the first movie. But I don't hate it as much, so I'm not gonna put it in D tier. It's just not that bad. Ferdinand is a perfectly average movie, so it gets to go in the mid B tier. Our Nature. This is a very, like, documentary, but like about animals and nature, but think in like the worst, most generic and pandering way. I don't know if it was like meant for like really young children, or if it just didn't cater to its audience properly, but it just felt really like pandery and like the most bare basic of information that pretty much everyone knows. It somehow tells you, so I learned nothing, and it was just really boring and also edited not very well, if I remember correctly. Jurassic World 1, yeah, I like this one quite a bit. So let's go over right up here. Kitty Love. This is a documentary about cats, and I would like it if it wasn't for one thing. Like, I believe like a third or a fourth of the documentary is just internet cat videos, which doesn't belong in a documentary. If I want to watch like cute cat videos, I just go on YouTube or whatever, and it just doesn't feel like it belongs in a documentary. Like, there are some genuinely interesting parts in this documentary where I was actually like really invested in what was going on, and then there's just 5 minutes of segments of just cute cat videos, and yeah, sorry, it's not good. So I'm gonna put it behind Born Free. Look, yeah, what can I say about it? People seem to not like this movie, but I also don't think it's like awful or anything, so it gets to go, yeah, right about here. I don't like it a lot, but I also don't consider it like a awful movie. It just had a very weak climax. Overall, I don't think it's very strong, but it's not horrible either. Okay, so this one is without a doubt the worst movie I have seen all year. The 2021 version of Marmaduke, I believe. I don't think this came out in 2022. I can check. Yeah, this did come out in 2022 apparently. It's one of the worst piles of garbage I have ever seen. The animation, the character designs, the story, the characters, just everything about this is just the worst thing you can imagine. I don't recommend you watch this movie, even to watch it. It's not even like funny in a kind of cringe way. It's just awful. Zootopia, I don't like this movie a whole lot, but it's okay. I don't consider it bad. The mystery is good. It's just, I really don't like big city settings at all. That's just a huge turnout for me, especially like the whole metropolitan cities. I don't know, I don't like those cities, so the fact that there are so many modern animated movies that are just set in these types of locations is like really off-putting to me. So yeah, I like Zootopia fine, but it's not my favorite. The mystery and the characters are definitely good, but I don't like the whole setting and all. Like the outer city districts, like the rainforest district and stuff, that's all okay. That doesn't feel stifling and busy, but the whole city setting is just, no, it's not for me. Yeah, I'm gonna put it behind Snuff. I'm gonna put Ferdinand over here, by the way. Mowgli, this is I believe this was 2019-ish, 2018 maybe, Jungle Book movie. And so the thing with this one is, it looks absolutely hideous. The motion capture monstrosity animals are just so ugly. But I also kind of like this one the most out of pretty much all Jungle Books adaptations I have seen, except probably the Disney live action one. Granted, I haven't seen a lot of Jungle Book adaptations, but I don't like the original book. I also don't like the 2D animated Disney movie. I really don't like those. So the fact that like this one, it takes itself a lot more seriously, and obviously it looks awful, or at least not, like the CGI isn't bad per se, but it just looks really ugly and uncanny valley. But it also, at the same time, this one kind of takes itself seriously, and the story is pretty loyal to the book, more so than the Disney animated version anyways. So yeah, I quite like this one actually. And the wolves also actually look like Indian wolves, which pretty much every Jungle Book adaptation I have seen messes that up and makes them look like something else but not Indian wolves. So at least they got that right, even though the wolves are uncanny valley as hell. So yeah, I'm actually gonna put this one quite high. It's not great, but I actually really enjoy this one, despite how absolutely ugly it looks. What a Bear 2, yeah, it's a sequel, Disney sequel, but as far as Disney sequels go, I don't think this one is awful. I'd say, yeah, where do I put it? I don't care for the whole like aspect of like giving Kenai a girlfriend, but I don't think it's like handled awfully either. Probably gonna put it back extinct. The Revenant, yeah, good movie, very brutal, but I liked it, quite intense. School of Magical Animals. This is a German movie. I don't think it has an English release outside of an English title. And I don't consider this a good movie, but I really like the character design of the fox, so I watched this anyways. And apparently there's a sequel coming out this year, so I may watch that one. And I don't consider it very good, but it's still gonna go somewhere around here. Over here, probably. I think Spookslot is a little worse. White Fang. This is, I believe, the 1991 animated version, because there was also a 1991, as far as I know, Disney version, which this is probably trying to cash in on. Yeah, it's not good, but I like it, kind of-ish. It's like the animation, it feels very, like, how do you put it, like unstructured, like the movements are very, sometimes too fluid and sometimes too fast. The character designs seem to really lack structure, like they just kind of change model every so often. It's not great, but it's not the worst movie I have seen all year, so probably going to put it a little higher. Call of the Wild, this is actually a miniseries which they later published as a movie, but I'm going to be ranking it as a movie because I own the movie on DVD and not the miniseries. So yeah, this is another Jack London adaptation, and I don't think this one is great. I don't think it is bad either, so very mid-B there. Meet the Robinsons. This seems to be kind of like a cult classic among Disney films, and I don't like it as much as a lot of other people do, but I do have to give it credit that the villain is like really funny. Everyone gives the movie credit for that, but yeah, other than that, I don't think it's great. The CGI is very dated, obviously, and there's just too many characters to have go. It just has too many characters going on, so I'm going to put it a bit lower for that on the beat there. Against the Ice. This is a movie about two guys who are trapped, I believe, on an island in the far north. I think this was based on true events, but I am not 100% certain. And it's basically very brutal as they get left behind by their crew and they have to survive with the two of them. So I put this about the same as The Revenant. It's kind of similar in like the whole being left behind alone and having to survive in the cold winter element. Back to the Outback. This is a movie about some scary animals in Australia who want to live in the wild, and yeah, it's perfectly serviceable. I don't think it's great. I think my main problem, and I've seen that other people have this problem too, is that the character designs are too cute. Like the whole point of the movie is like don't judge animals, some animals for being scary. But then they have the most cute and chibi-esque and cartoony character designs, and I'm like, if you want to drive home that point, maybe make them look a little bit more realistic. Hachiko, yeah, everyone loved this movie, so do I. Yeah, go shed some tears, I guess. 127 Hours, also great survival movie, based on true events. I also read the book. Yeah, don't have a lot to say, it's just very brutal. But I also think it's really good, like the last part, like the last, I don't know how long it was, like 50 minutes is like the most intense, but also like really relieving, so yeah. Benji, this is a reboot, I guess, of the Benji movies, or at least a more modern incarnation, and I think it was just fine, but nothing more. The child acting was quite bad, so yeah, it's not my favorite. Frozen, people have very mixed opinions on this movie nowadays, and for me it's perfectly average, so it gets to go in the mid-B tier. I put it in front of Zootopia because it has more elements that I like. Probably in front of Snuff too, but outside of that it's like, it's serviceable. It's not bad, but whatever. Go for Panda 3, also B tier. Quite like this one, but it's not great. Probably gonna put it before the Cheetah movie. Dog of Flanders, this one I watched on a whim, and it was the most emotionally devastating thing I watched pretty much all year. Like, I had no idea what was going on, like what was going to happen going in. I went in completely blind without spoilers, and it was very upsetting, so it gets the upper A tier. Probably my favorite A tier movie I watched. Rescued by Ruby. This is a movie about a rescue dog who, or like a dog who's trained to be a canine dog, and she has a lot of learning difficulties, and in the end she has to be, like, I believe, say someone, not my favorite, but it was pretty good, so right about here. The Hobbit Desolation of Smaug. This is my favorite Hobbit movie, so it gets to go in the upper B tier. Surviving Paradise, also a pretty decent documentary. Liked it probably about as much as Pride. I'm actually gonna put The Revenant and Against the Ice a little higher. Hero Dog. So this is, I did not know this going in because I watched it on a Dutch movie renting site, and they didn't mention in the title, and they also don't on this poster, but apparently this is like the third movie in a franchise. But you wouldn't be able to tell from the poster, and I wasn't able to tell from the listing anyways. They give you enough context going in to know what's going on, and actually it is a pretty decent movie. It's about a blind man and his dog who get lost alone on an island in the wilderness, which is like a very interesting premise, and I really liked the part with like the man and the dog and his dog. But then his two little very annoying child characters come in and try to rescue him and only make things worse, and they are just so annoying it basically dragged down all the good elements of the movie, which is like really sad because it actually had like a really interesting premise going on. So I'm gonna put it just above Duma, no, just below Duma. I just wish it didn't have the child characters. It had a really good premise and good characters, like with the blind man and his dog going in, and then the kind of really annoying child characters just had to ruin it. Into the Wild, this one is also upper A tier. Don't have much to say about this one, it's just really impressive. Sonic movie, I am not a Sonic fan at all. I never played any of the games, but as far as movies go, this is fine, it's pretty fun, so yeah. Madagascar 2. I don't know what it is with the Madagascar movies, like they are kind of overlooked as far as DreamWorks movies go, like nobody really talks about them as much as like Kung Fu Panda and How to Train Your Dragon and stuff. But I still think they're like really funny, like obviously if you take them seriously they're probably not as fun, but I just think that they're really funny, so yeah, I actually really like this one, so I'm gonna put it before Tangled. I just watch Madagascar movies when I want to have a good laugh, not take things too seriously. Over the Moon is also a good movie, and I would probably put it right about here in front of Ernest and Celestine. This is about a girl who goes to the moon to prove that her favorite moon goddess is real. And it's a pretty charming and sweet story, and animation looks great, so yeah. My Best Friend Anne Frank. Yes, this is also a very heavy movie based on real events. Based on the true best friend of Anne Frank in the real life. So yes, very heavy movie obviously, but it's very good. Probably on about the same tier as Revenant and Against the Ice and this one. Pure Genius, I didn't like this one as much, but it's still, as far as movies go, it's good. It just didn't speak to me personally, I guess, so I'd say lower B tier. Wreck-It Ralph, I really like this one. Not my favorite Disney movie, but I like it a whole lot better than a lot of their others. Nico, the second movie. Yeah. People have mixed opinions on these movies. I personally really like them. I'm also like really nostalgic for them, but at the same time I acknowledge that they're like not perfect, and they're kind of like the whole thing that the entire franchise like hinges upon one of the Santa's reindeer having like a one-night stand is just kind of funny and doesn't really fit in with the Christmas theme. I like the first movie more, and I also have more nostalgia for the first movie, but I don't consider this one bad either, so probably gonna go Before Carve the World. And got Christian. This is a more modern documentary about Christian the Lion, and this one is really good. So yeah, put it right about here. And Peter, Over Panda. Don't need to really clarify this properly, but it's one of my favorites. So it's gonna go in front of Tangled. Sea Beast, yeah. I really like this one. I didn't expect to going in because I'm not really into like sea and marine creatures and stuff. It's like it really doesn't speak to me. I just don't like the sea as a setting much, but yeah, this one really did it for me, so it's going to go in probably behind the Hobbit movies. It's probably one of my favorites. Yeah, I put behind Anne Frank, but in front of Over the Moon. My Father's Dragon. This is the first Cartoon Saloon movie. I haven't seen all of them, but I have seen most of them. But this one is the first one by Cartoon Saloon that I did not really like. It looks still okay, but it still isn't as quite as good looking as their other movies. And I don't know, this one just didn't really do it for me. It's just no, it wasn't not that good if you ask me. Mune. This one is also A tier. Visually, one of the most interesting looking movies, and the world and character designs are just super interesting. I really haven't seen any movie quite like it before or since. So if you like visually interesting movies, I absolutely recommend this one. And the story is also pretty neat and sweet. But especially just the whole world and character designs and animation. Yeah, it's really interesting. So I definitely recommend those. Jesus Christ Superstar. Yeah, I'm agnostic, but I still consider this like one of my favorite movies. The soundtrack just goes so hard, and even that aside, it's just like really intense. So yeah, it gets to go in the upper A tier. I'm putting it in front of Into the Wild, but that's only because I like the music so much. Like I'm normally not even really a musical person, but the soundtrack of Jesus Christ Superstar just goes really hard. Avatar 2, it's okay. It's pretty good, I'd say. Not as good as the first Avatar, but I liked it. I'm gonna throw in front of Ernest and Celestine. Peter Rabbit 2, I like this one a little less than the first, I believe. So it's gonna go about here. June and Kopi, story about a stray dog who gets adopted by a family. Yeah, pretty sweet story. Has a heartfelt ending. Don't consider this one to be great or anything, but it's pretty cute. There's just one really gross scene in it, like nothing graphic or anything, but still not something you'd want to watch, where a dog has to help clean a baby diaper. So yeah, no, no thank you. A Dog's Journey, this one is really good. Speaking of dog movies, so this one gets to go right about here. I've seen the first movie too in this series, and yeah, both are really good. Apparently they're based on books, which I did not know, but I definitely want to read some books now. A Dog's Way Home, also pretty good. However, I consider the fact that the dog has like a narrating voice to be really annoying. Like the voice is like narrating what's going on, kind of like in the DreamWorks spirit. But just imagine like she's even narrating like the most basic things, like you can see what's going on screen, and she's like just basically reiterating what's going on screen, and it's just really annoying. I do like the subplot where she raises a cougar cub that's like really adorable, but the narrating voice is so annoying. I just wish that the dog didn't speak or like had far less dialogue in this. Then I think it would have been better. Everything Everywhere All at Once, obvious A tier. Don't need to explain this one, I think. Wild Boar: The Comeback. This is just a decent documentary about wild boar. Not much to say about it otherwise. Mia and the White Lion. I quite like this one. This one actually came out pretty recently, and it has a very similar story to Duma and Christian and Born Free, with trying to release a lion back into the wild in a reserve. Yeah, I like this one. It uses actual, like, real predator and human interactions with the animals, so if you aren't into that, I'm not as fond of that. Like, I would prefer they use more CGI, but, you know, it's what it is. But overall, I do consider it a pretty good movie, so, yeah, probably gonna go about here. Winnie the Pooh, I don't like Winnie the Pooh as a franchise, so I don't like this movie much either. I don't think there's just not a lot of substance to the franchise. I feel like that probably a lot of people like it maybe because of nostalgia, or maybe they just generally like it, but it's just not for me, I guess. So it's gonna go into C tier. Misha and the Wolves. This is a documentary based on true events about an author who published a memoir, which was basically completely bogus and made up. And this is a documentary about basically her life story and how she got to publish the fake memoir. So yeah, it's quite an interesting tale if you want to delve into it. It's obviously not very moral because she claims to be like a Holocaust victim and stuff, and Jewish, which she isn't. But yeah, it's just, or at least she wasn't as affected as badly as like she makes out to be in the book. It's just a very messy story. But the documentary is pretty good, so yeah, put it right about here. A Wolf's Journey, or L'Odyssée de Loup. This is a French documentary about a wolf, and as far as I know, it is a fictional documentary, but it's just kind of trying to show a journey of a wolf across Europe. But it's very obviously staged, so you can obviously see that some like scars on wolves will change, or certain shots are just too perfect. Like, it's very obviously staged. So I do consider it good, but it's just really obviously staged. So like, I know that documentaries, I guess they aren't like obligated to show the truth, but you'd still expect it to be like a little bit more true to life and not staged. Hilda and the Mountain King, I believe this one is called. Yeah, I like the Hilda show. I like this movie quite a bit. Not my favorite, but had a good time. What about here? Chippendale Rescue Rangers. This movie is, to me, only really fun to see all the character cameos they managed to get, but like, when it comes to the movie itself, like the plot, the characters, whatever, I really don't care, so it's gonna go into the C tier. Buddy, this is a Dutch documentary about like assistant dogs, and well, it's a cute concept. It was very poorly edited. There's just entire scenes that just have no backing music, and there's like really awkward big silences. And the creator, like the director, who interviews the people who have like disabilities, also makes a few ableist remarks, which is like, you're trying to portray like this with a respectful way, but you're not really doing it. So yeah. Marty and Me, decent movie. I don't think that the dog owners, at least how it was portrayed in the movie, are very responsible dog owners, but so that kind of made them unlikable, in my opinion. But Marty the dog was a cute character, so I put it about here. Top Death Pro, yeah, this is a neat mouse movie. I like the aesthetic this one has. The CGI is quite a bit dated, but just the whole aesthetic it has going on with like the whole medieval fantasy world, it was pretty neat. So yeah, I like that. Big Hero 6. Yeah, I don't like superhero movies at all. It's just not my genre. So the only reason I kind of like this one is just because of the characters and the relationships they have, especially between Hero and Baymax. But like the whole superhero aspect is just the most boring thing to me. So I do like this movie, but like only for the characters and the relationships, not for like any of the like superhero stuff. It's gonna go behind. Yeah, I like it actually a little more than Zootopia. Bolt, one of my favorite Disney movies, even if part of it is just nostalgia. But yeah, I really like this one. I probably like Wreck-It Ralph just a little bit more. I just think it's funnier, but Bolt is definitely still one of my favorite Disney movies. Build a Bear, another one of my favorites. I know a lot of people have mixed opinions on it, but for me, yeah, I like this one. More than Wreck-It Ralph, actually. Little, yeah, one of my least favorite Disney movies. I don't like watching this one. Perry, this is like a kind of like a fictionalized documentary, except this one is really old and it's not like L'Odyssée de Loop, which is a very modern movie. So this one is probably going to go into the C-tier-ish. Secret Life of Pets 2. Yeah, I don't hate it. Really lowest B tier. I don't have a lot of opinions on the elimination movies. Usually they're just very meh. Okay, usually. Home and Range, definitely one of the worst Disney movies. I can see why so many people hate this one. Even visually, outside of the animation being good, I really don't like the character designs, so yeah. Pinocchio, also one of the most... This one was just plain boring. Like, at least the other movies were interesting, but this one I just thought, aside from like this one feeling like kind of heartless and soulless as far as live action remakes go, this one also just felt intensely boring. So like even Rescue Rangers, while I don't think it's good, it still had like more going on. This one just I felt nothing watching this one, so yeah, very low C tier. Never Cry Wolf, this is based on Fali Mawat's popular book. They changed a few things, kind of fictionalized part of it, so it's not a documentary, but it's still, yeah, I'd say it's a good movie. Yeah, I quite like this one. I mean, you know me and my wolf movies, but that aside, I still consider this one very good. Rudolph the Reindeer, the movie. Yeah, I like this one. It's a good times movie, and the animation is far from perfect. It's kind of like unstructured sometimes, but I like it fine. So it's this is definitely a childhood favorite of mine. So really gonna put this right back here. Pride. This is a live-action lion movie. And it has like the whole talking CGI mouth thing going on. And it used to be kind of like, I used to think that it was just pretty okay, but honestly, like it gets kind of uncomfortable sometimes with the topic it touches on. Like, this is a children's movie or a family movie, but like it gets kind of dark sometimes, and they just try to shove it away as like it's just instinct, but at the same time these are like anthropomorphized lions, so that excuse doesn't really fly. So yeah, and I also thought it was not the most interesting movie, so low B tier. Princess and the Frog. I like Tiana as a character a lot. I really do not like Naveen. I think that Dr. Vasilia is a pretty good villain. Like, as far as Disney villains go, we haven't really had one in modern years. But just the fact that she's like a frog, and I honestly liked the movie, like, up until the point she was a frog, I really liked it, but then she turns into a frog, and we have to spend a lot of time with Naveen, who I don't like, so yeah, that's one that kind of loses me. It's right about the same with Frozen, probably. Like, there's parts where she's human, and I really like Tiana as a character, obviously, but then the whole frog subplot happens, and we have to spend a lot of time with Naveen, and it just kind of loses me after that. Turning Red, really like this one. Yeah. And The Last Dragon, another one I really like, probably a little less than these two. Sorry, I'm just going kind of lightning round because my voice is getting hoarse. Sahara, this one is a probably low B tier. Very much insta love. Everyone gets in the end of the movie gets to be in a hetero relationship. Even characters who like don't really have any goal of romance. Yeah, it feels very kind of forced, and there's some like adult humor in here, which doesn't really work. So I consider it worse than Back to the Outback. Strange World. This one is okay, but I really don't have much more to say about it. I liked aspects of it better than Zootopia and Big Hero 6, but I also liked other aspects lesser, so probably gonna put it quite extinct. Hobbit, yeah, last movie, like I already said, this one is not one of my favorites, so I'm gonna put it a bit lower. Put here. Okay, Then we have Narnia, the third movie. I love the first. I think the second is also pretty good. And the third Narnia movie I really don't like. Again, because it has like the sea setting and a lot of like seafaring and stuff like that and marine stuff. And I just don't care for the sea as a setting the same way I don't care for big cities as a setting. So yeah, not one of my favorites. So, and the characters I also like the least in this movie. I like them in the first and second movies, but in this one just kind of loses me. Then we have Wolf. This is a very good documentary about the return of wolves to the Netherlands, and I definitely recommend this one if the topic interests you. And then finally, Louis Theroux shooting Joe Exotic. This is a documentary about the Tiger King, but it's far less sensationalized and much more realistic and looking at the facts. And honestly, I think that's much better than whatever the Tiger King was doing. So yeah, this one also gets to go somewhere right about the cheetah documentary. So yeah, here we got my ranking. I'm going to see if I can rearrange some stuff. Something I forgot to say about the Barry movie is that it's also based on like one of Felix Salten's books that take place in the Bambi universe. Like Bambi literally appears as like a live action deer in this movie, so that's kind of funny. Part 3 gets to be a little better. Yeah, this seems about right. I actually like Chicken a little less. And over here, Broad Genius, I actually like less than Christian. This seems about right. Let's see if everything checks out. I'd say the color 3 is probably a little weaker than that. Hero Dog is probably... Yeah, I want to put Hero Dog higher, but the annoying kid characters just completely drag it down for me, so it gets to go behind Duma. And this all seems about right. Surviving Paradise gets to go a little lower. Pride also gets to go a little lower. Honestly, Celestine I actually do want to put before Avatar, because despite the structural issues and how forced it felt, I just liked it better, and it doesn't look better per se, because you can't really compare the two, but I like the art style a lot more, let's just say. And then we have Ragnarok. Yeah, okay, so here we go. We have the S tier with Lord of the Rings and a few other movies. We have A tier. I'm not gonna read them out loud again because I took like 10 minutes in the book review ranking. So yeah, Dog of Flanders and stuff like that. These are all my like favorites, which I don't consider like the up and top favorites of mine. And over here we got a lot of B tiers. So I'd say still that a lot of these are probably good, because B is like the 7 out of 10-ish ranking. Usually this is like about the A tier is about 8 out of 10, 9 out of 10. And then the B tier gets to be 7 out of 10. Maybe the lower B tier is like 6 out of 10, but it's still decent. Then the C tier is like what I'd consider not as recommended. Still not like the upper C tier is still watchable, but it's still not my favorite. And then D tier is just what I consider pretty much garbage. So yeah, luckily there aren't a lot of garbage movies I watched last year. We just got Home on the Range and that one documentary that was super pandery and poorly edited. The Buck Wild movie, obviously, and obviously Marmaduke. It just sucks. So yeah, gonna save this one just to be certain, so I don't lose it, because if I lose it, I'll be in trouble. Yeah, so here's my ranking, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and yeah, maybe I will see you next time. So yeah, bye!